Hello and welcome to my channel. Are you ready for some ghostly tales? We'll get set for 8 Halloween spooky tales of terror from one of the most haunted capital cities in the world, London, England. The Vampires of Westminster. On an April night in 1922, 3 men with no knowledge of one another and all walking in different directions were each stalked through the streets of Westminster, England by unknown assailants. All 3 men received puncture wounds to their necks, and a 4th man was attacked in an identical manner after leaving a dancing club. The men were taken separately to hospital and were questioned by the police, but each one declined to give any information about their attackers. Were these men the victims of gang warfare, a trend which swept across England during the 1920s, or were they the victims of something more macabre? None of the men ever spoke of their experiences, so the mystery remains unsolved. The disappearing maid. In West London at his home in Cranford, Grantley F. Buckley and his brother were going out at midnight to look for poachers when Grantley entered his partially lit kitchen, illuminated only by the light of embers. He saw among the shadows the tall figure of a woman dressed as a maidservant with a bonnet and a dark shawl pinned tightly across her. When Buckley entered the room, she slowly turned to look at him, but where her face should have been, there was nothing. Only an indistinct outline of blackness. Grantley shouted to his brother, "Look!" And both men watched the woman move, then disappear. They locked the door and hunted everywhere, looking up the chimney, beneath the table and into the oven. But they could not find her. The spectre had disappeared, never to be seen again. The Headless Ghost. At Holland House in Kensington, the lonely headless ghost of Henry Rich, the first Earl of Holland, emerges at the stroke of midnight from behind a secret door and haunts the apartments of the grand property. The ghost has a particular liking for the Gilt Room, where he had organised a ball to celebrate the marriage between Charles I of England and Henrietta Maria of France in 1625. While the marriage took place, sadly, the ball did not. The Earl of Holland was executed in 1649 for his unsuccessful attempt to bring Charles I back to the throne. Hence the headless spectre haunting visitors. The Blackfriars' suicide. A postman spotted a tall woman in black climbing onto the wall of Blackfriars Bridge and feared she was about to commit suicide. He ran towards her, hoping to prevent her from falling, but it was too late and she disappeared. He almost jumped in the water after her, but a policeman, somewhat cold in demeanour, told him to stop. "It is no use jumping in," the policeman said. "What you saw was no living person. It was a ghost." The policeman then told the postman he had seen the exact same thing before at the same time of day for 7 consecutive mornings. "If you don't believe me," he told the postman, "come back tomorrow and check for yourself." Well, the postman did and saw exactly what he had seen before. A tall woman dressed in black disappearing into the murky waters of the Thames. Satan's Taunt. In 17th century Britain, it was believed that Satan walked the earth in various guises, causing plagues and earthquakes and other forms of mayhem. He could even drive a man to suicide. Sawyer, George Gibbs, whose story was told in a broadside ballad published in 1663, was one such man. Satan repeatedly taunted George until one spring day, the Sawyer most cruelly ripped up his own belly and pulled out his bowels and guts and cut them in pieces. Among the parish registers of St. Botolph's without Aldgate is George's burial record, recorded as a suicide. Of course, poor George could not be buried in consecrated ground and was interred in the graveyard of the Bedlam Hospital. Black Boy Alley, London's street of hell. In the 18th century, there was one street in London which attracted the very worst of society, where castaways roamed the dingy alleys. These people were the down and outs, the strays, the thieves, and the lost souls. There was even a gang called the Black Boy Alley Gang. The members of the gang would venture out of an evening and knock on the doors of families at home for the night. As soon as the door was opened, the gang would rush in, gag and bind the family, then steal all their money and property. It wasn't just the men of Black Boy Alley and nearby Chick Lane who were violent thieves. The women were too. On a dark evening in 1773, a man was attacked by 2 women who cut him down the face and across the lips. The women were apprehended, but the man died in St. Bart's Hospital. Theatrical clown. Joseph Grimaldi was a well-known personality within theatrical circles and is said to haunt the Drury Lane Theatre. Grimaldi was the father of the modern clown and the brains behind the traditional British pantomime. He asked that when he died he was to be buried with his head severed from his body. This might explain why some people claim to see a clown face floating in the wings of the theatre. The Devil's Hound. While the Old Bailey, the scene of London's central criminal courts, may have many tales to tell, perhaps the most striking is the ghost hound, which has been cited by various persons over a number of centuries. The spectral dog can sometimes be seen patrolling a brick wall in Armagh Court. The vile-smelling phantom creature is thought to be the spirit of a medieval sorcerer, whose body was eaten by the starving prisoners of nearby Newgate Jail. Do you have a chilling tale of London? Where are your spookiest spots in this megacity? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more tales of Britain.